disprove your ideas, but also because in my personal view, I don't see anything wrong with your actions. I don't think that there is fundamentally anything wrong with the general idea of seeing what is going on in the dating market, the dating sphere, deciding you don't like it, and choosing to do something else with your time, or choosing to engage with dating in a different way. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Don't think there's anything wrong with that when women do it. I don't think there's anything wrong when men do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that when anybody decides that dating is not for them, that they would rather remain single, that they would rather just do casual sex, that they would rather swear off the whole thing entirely. The problem is the reasoning behind it. I think that is what becomes harmful. Something that I was struck by as I was doing research for this video, going through the Men Going Their Own Way subreddit and kind of just trying to get as good faith representation of their ideas as I could, was that my original understanding of what their understanding of the world was dated. So the overall swing of the movement has pretty much remained the same. There's basically this notion that for myriad reasons, women are not worth the financial, emotional, other types of investment that would be required to have a romantic relationship with them.
Welcome guys to the RP experience. Smash that like button, hit the like button, subscribe as well, especially if you've been watching a couple of my videos and you like it. Anyway, today's topic is we're talking about basically a thing that they call the manosphere, which is a combination of the red pill community and men going their own way. I'm not really going to mention them too much, but there's a video that this lady did research on this space, and I'll be the first to admit there is a lot of toxicity in here. Most of it is similar like women, women who are either feminists or just like angry or something like that. Y'all are angry at men, and men in this space are mostly angry at women because of social media, TikToks and things like that, we see the foolishness of how a lot of women are treating men and getting away with stuff, But it's not all men that this is happening to, because the Chad or Tyrone or Pookie and Ray Ray is not going to be watching these videos. They are enjoying their life, reaping the rewards of most of the women because they attract most of the women, basically. Now, the men that's kind of in the middle, or either the average guys and stuff like that, they may be here because either they had a bad breakup. Usually it wasn't one, but one can kind of knock a guy off his square, but two or three or something like that can really wreck him. And now you get this information of other men going through a lot of the same stuff, and you have a lot of us that's like, hey, wait a minute, what the is going on here? And stuff like that. So if some of you women cannot find good guys today, there's a main reason why, because a lot of us is bowing out or so. basically I'm playing baseball with this. So, or either I'll use that analogy of I got one foot in the door just in case I see a diamond in the rough, but I got one foot out of the door, because I'm like, I've been at this game for a while and I made my mistakes and bad picks here and there, but at a certain point you have to look at it and just be like, I have to definitely do something different. So anyway, I have a video to share, and I talk quite a bit this time, so I'm gonna let this video play mostly through, but it's kind of a long one, and she's gonna explain her point of view. And I didn't hear no malice really in her voice. She really seemed like she was trying to understand our point of view. Of course, though, you have to be leery sometimes of even that. But anyway, you be the judge.
Justice dictate that I cannot make a commentary about men going their own way without expressing that they seem to talk an awful lot about women for a group of people that claims to be done with them. So, I'll admit that when I first decided I wanted to do a series talking about all these different men's groups, I didn't think that men going their own way would be a group that I would be talking about so soon. I was pretty sure that I would be doing the red pill next. And this was basically because, unlike incels, who were very popular in the mainstream discourse, and the red pill, who I perceive to be probably the strongest ideologically, in the sense that they have the most cohesive sense of identity, MGTOWs kind of were neither of those things. They were a little bit more fringe, not particularly dangerous in my view, and they tended to be a little bit more scattered in their individual philosophies and reasons for being in the movement. And so to me, that made them just kind of a much lower priority. But something I've been noticing lately is that a lot of the groups that I'm in that follow incels and the like, they've started to talk a lot more about men going their own way, and that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. There's something I really want to get out of the way, which is that there is this understanding in the men going their own way movement that they have decided that they're going to swear off women, they're not going to date women, they're not going to give women their resources, and for them, that is a huge slight to women. And I just want to make clear that even if there are people out there trying to convince you to date women, that, what you're doing is wrong, that's not what this video is for. Firstly, because this video is not meant to debunk or disprove your ideas, but also because in my personal view, I don't see anything wrong with your actions. I don't think that there is fundamentally anything wrong with the general idea of seeing what is going on in the dating market, the dating sphere, deciding you don't like it, and choosing to do something else with your time, or choosing to engage with dating in a different way. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that when women do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with when men do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that when anybody decides that dating is not for them, that they would rather remain single, that they would rather just do casual sex, that they would rather swear off the whole thing entirely. The problem is the reasoning.
Yeah, there are a rising number of men that we feel that way. I'm still on the fence there, but I'm definitely looking up there, because I don't trust down here. But most men have got to that realm of thinking because of marriage. And meanwhile, while women can say like, well, you picked the wrong one and you can just pick another one. Look, marriage is a huge risk for a man. And if you women out here, a lot of times y'all choose wrong, especially when y'all young, if y'all have trouble trying to pick women, if y'all have trouble trying to pick men that are good for you, imagine how men are having the same problem of picking y'all. And the thing is, like I say, those ones in the middle that, is a bad girl pretending to be good, or is a good girl that's pretending to be bad. Like, well, she's leaning that way because of her friends or her circle that she's rolling with, and is tainting her, and she's picking up bad habits. That could be the same thing for a man, but we talking about women here because as a man, I date women, not men. So that's the issue, and that's the issue with marriage too. You can find a girl that's good for you right now. Y'all get along, y'all have the same values, y'all on the same page. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, maybe 10, 15 years from now, or something, then you're on opposite pages. I do believe in those cases is the guy's fault and is the woman's fault. But the thing is, a lot of times the woman doesn't acknowledge that she is also at fault. But the thing is, though, no matter who's at fault, the man is the one who's going to pay in the end. So if I choose wrong and get married, I can lose my house. She's going to take the kids. It's just a huge risk. And I know with all the relationships that I was in that kind of went the distance, meaning like they went more than like a couple of months or something like that. They went like a year or a couple of years or something. They were very good in the beginning. Everything was working in the beginning. And then things totally changed. So you're asking men to risk that, to go all the way with a woman that one day might just change her mind. Anyway, let her continue.
The reasoning behind it. I think that is what becomes harmful. Something that I was struck by as I was doing research for this video, going through the Men Going Their Own Way subreddit and kind of just trying to get as good faith representation of their ideas as I could, was that my original understanding of what their understanding of the world was dated. So the overall swing of the movement has pretty much remained the same. There's basically this notion that for myriad reasons, women are not worth the financial, emotional, other types of investment that would be required to have a romantic relationship with them. There's definitely always been like a pretty good variety of reasons that men go their own way. Some of them come from it out of the men's rights movement, where they, point to things like alimony or child support and paternity fraud as being reasons that they don't want to have romantic relationships with women. Other ones point more particularly to behavioral things about women, like particularly promiscuity tends to be a really big one, and disloyalty. And the levels of engagement that they deem appropriate vary from person to person. There are some men going their own way who believe that no level of interaction with women is worth it, because they believe that even the most basic interactions with women, in a sexual way, require some level of financial investment, which they don't believe is worth it. But other ones among them believe that casual sex is an ideal strategy because they're avoiding marriage, which is the real scam. And there are even some I saw while I was perusing the subreddit that are even in long-term relationships, they're just avoiding marriage particularly. To the lattermost group, I'm really curious why you guys don't just get prenuptials, though.
Because prenups don't work. Because they can be contested, and they still will cost you money.
Maybe you have a philosophical disagreement to marriage, and I can understand that, but that wasn't coming through for me when I was reading the post, so any clarification on that would be excellent. Back in the day when I was going around the subreddit, there was this kind of general understanding that this is not a permanent situation, or at least that it doesn't have to be. The idea is that the way that women behave now, the promiscuity, the duplicity, the lack of loyalty, those things are a result of feminism or liberalism or just, rising lack of, religion.
I think that's all of the above. You know, I can't, I'm not going to blame feminism totally. You know, I see the obstacle that it poses for me as a man, but I'm thinking when feminism first started years ago, when did it start? In the 50s, 40s, 20s? When it started then, I believe at that time, men's power was out of control. And they totally dominated and overseed women, and women had no real voice unless if they was really manipulative and attractive or a movie star or something. And even then, it was always some man that she definitely had to bow down to in a major way. It was a movie, I can't remember the name of it, that I recently saw, and it kind of touched on that era, and that made sense. Anyway, but however, these days, you know, I feel like men and women are a lot more equal than they was then. And however, it just seems like women want to have the benefits of being a woman and be able to hide behind that female protective layer with things and take no accountability with a lot of stuff. So it's not all women, but it's a lot. And I believe some do it like they knowingly do it, and then some they have no idea. It just has become normal and stuff like that. Maybe by pointing it out to them, they might reconsider. You know, women on that spectrum of like the entitlement and stuff like that, and the ones that's used to the norm, I kind of don't expect them to change, but I'm trying to weed those ones out. That way, if they're over there, I know that section of women, no matter how attractive they are or whatever the case may be, is out. You know, and any women that I'm dealing with, even if they're rough around the edges or something, they're more on that side of like they're a little bit more open to hear, because that's what we would need to happen, a conversation, you know. Or either we're just going to keep doing the thing of the women bashing the men on that side, and the men now have a voice now that they're bashing you back and you don't like it, you know. So hey, it's even now, so I'm like
whatever, pick your poison. As a result of whatever thing that is, women are behaving badly, whereas in the past they used to be better. They used to be worth marrying. There used to be respectable, good women. There was a hope by a lot of these men, it seemed, that by restricting women's access to romantic relationships and support, women would return to acting better and would be worth engaging in relationships with again. A lot of this was kind of exemplified by the fact that many of these men saw that, you know, Asian women or Eastern European women made more suitable partners. And so that kind of implies that there is a cultural reason for women not being worth marrying in the West particularly. That messaging was hopeful, I guess, in its own way, because it rested on this idea that there are ways for men to have positive romantic relationships with women that are worthwhile. It's just not right now, or not with Western women. The big thing that's changed...
Well, I don't think that worked with men just totally... and I believe men that more led that movement of the men going their own way was more of the older white men that have got like really burnt in divorce, and then finally started seeing the landscape of how things was playing out. Uh, on individual basis, I guess would work for especially those women that was more stay-at-home moms, or either they worked part-time but they did they didn't work as much, and then they would settle down with kids. That probably worked to a certain degree with them, not to change them but to slap them with reality. The strong independent women, I don't believe that had no effect, even though I believe that yes, women should have a choice. If you don't want to have kids or you want to focus on your career, then fine. Just know that you have a time limit with that, and that the older and less attractive that you get, you become less fertile, and also uh, your pickings of men become less and less, you know, because I don't know, men are visual, so they're going to be going after that. If you happen to still look good as you get older, you can still pull a guy. But I don't know if it's something in our DNA that can sense if a woman is getting close to not being able to bear kids or something like that. Or either if she does have kids, that also becomes like another hurdle for like men. Well, especially men that don't have kids. Maybe if he has kids, he's probably not going to think too much about it. But if he doesn't have kids, he's definitely going to be thinking like, hey, I want some kids of my own. And I don't want to be going through this stuff of like the kid telling me, you're not my dad, and all that other stuff, or either having problems with the baby dad or something. Oh, before I forget. So it didn't work with the strong independent woman because she had her own money. So men denying the financial assistance thing didn't really work. And then of course, if she's strong and independent and she happens to get married to you, she's stacking money with she's grabbing assistance from him, and then she's also making her own money. Now, of course, though, it's not all roses, because she's going to be struggling with the kids and stuff like that. But however, though, she's still better situated than if she wasn't working at all. Okay, so now let's continue.
It's just not right now, or not with Western women. The big thing that's changed there is actually kind of interesting for me, because I kind of wanted to make these videos with the premise that there were these huge cavernous differences between the different men's groups. And I do still think that in their strategy for how to react to whatever they believe the circumstances of the world are, I still believe that that is a really core difference. But I didn't realize how similar the worldview had kind of become. Now, looking at the Men Going Their Own Way subreddit, it's very clear that there is a much higher level of support for the more red pill idea that women are naturally not worth engaging in relationships with. This ends up being just a vastly more cynical idea you could imagine, because if you believe that the reason that you don't want to engage in romantic relationships with women is hard-coded into them, that means that there is no changing it. What this kind of suggests is that back in the day when women were worth dating, that was just because they were under control. And on a fundamental level, when left to their own devices, they will become bad. One of the really unfortunate ideas that comes from this is they fundamentally will believe that women are incapable of experiencing love for men. And so they believe that even if women are able to be less promiscuous, be more loyal, be better mothers, be more domestic, even if they become perfect partners again, it'll all just be fake. It will be...
I don't think that's all women, but I do believe that's a lot of women. The same way, like, most men may not like women, love women, they just love having sex with them, and as soon as that usefulness is gone, then they lose interest. But I always think if you're spending time with someone and y'all sharing experiences and memories with each other, that I think it's impossible not to build feelings for a person. Now, once your relationship gets robotic, and sometimes this is men's fault because we get into the thing of like working, and especially when you have kids and it's like a routine thing of like you work like 10, 12 hours or something like that, then you come home, you're tired and you don't have too much energy, and um, the, the last thing you want to do is hear your wife complain about stuff, you know. And I know women, y'all want to talk about stuff and talk it out, but the only thing I would maybe suggest is try to be a comfort to him first. If you're working too, I understand. But if you're home and then he comes home after working a hard day, then you should give him some peace first, then some nookie, you know, and then unload. I don't think uh, a lot of people in both spaces, the men and the women, are looking for change. Now, women may say they want change, but what they want, I'm talking about the ones that are of the dominating, the toxic feminist mindset. Uh, ooh, actually, I might not even be able to use that word. Um, of of that toxic mindset that are trying to, um, how can I say this? Well, they're trying to dominate the situation, and as for men, they could be doing a similar thing. Some of them. Most of us, we've well, what that space is doing is discussing uh, and sharing our stories, you know. And I guess in a way, it feels better to know that you're not the only one going through this type of thing. Now, the answers, it is no easy answer because it's not like they can force women to change. Just like as women, you cannot force men to change. Even though y'all seem to have a lot of control on certain types of men. Not the type of men that you really want. The men that has lots of options. But the men that are the gumps, the simps, you have lots of sway with them to do with what you want. I think with me, I want to make men, I want to make that pool of simps smaller because the, those men are just going to be left behind, depressed, or they're going to be in a loveless, sexless marriage when they finally manage to bag one of you ladies that just kept them to the side.
With Western women, the big thing that's changed there is actually kind of interesting for me because I kind of wanted to make these videos with the premise that there were these huge cavernous differences between the different men's groups. And I do still think that in their strategy for how to react to whatever they believe the circumstances of the world are, I still believe that that is a really core difference. But I didn't realize how similar the worldview had kind of become. Now, looking at the Men Going Their Own Way subreddit, it's very clear that there is a much higher level of support for the more red pill idea that women are naturally not worth engaging in relationships with. This ends up being just a vastly more cynical idea you could imagine because, you know, if you believe that the reason that you don't want to engage in romantic relationships with women is hard-coded into them, that means that there is no changing it. What this kind of suggests is that the back in the day when women were worth dating, that was just because they were under control. And on a fundamental level, when left to their own devices, they will become bad. One of the really unfortunate ideas that comes from this is they fundamentally will believe that women are incapable of experiencing love for men. And so they believe that even if women are able to be less promiscuous, be more loyal, be better mothers, be more domestic, even if they become perfect partners again, it'll all just be fake. It will be a strategy that they are using in order to secure resources. Kind of like the really cynical idea that many people have about pets. Like, they don't actually love you, you have the food, so they act like they love you so that you give them food. Actually browsing through MGTOW forums and their subreddit really emphasizes something they readily admit. Their position is not one that is primarily concerned with facts or statistics. While it may share ideas with MRAs, it is not trying to forward a worldview grounded in an analysis of statistics and the law. It is not even necessarily trying to foment change.
Well, I think the reason for that is men need to be constantly reminded that went through those things. Because when they have a beautiful woman in front of them, they may relapse and get back into the same situation. See, because that's the one thing. As women, sometimes y'all can learn from each other's stories, mistakes, because y'all have a mentality that y'all can empathize with each other. With men, unfortunately, we usually have to learn things the hard way. You know, we can have, like, if we love a girl and everybody's telling us, like, oh, she's toxic, she's going to take you to the bank or something, he's still going to do it because he's going to believe that he can save her, he can change her. And then he'll find out that he couldn't, the hard way. So that is why it's a constant rehashing of this stuff, because I think a lot of men, women, people in general are indoctrinated, programmed with what we see on TV and online, conditioned. And you know, I've delved in the stuff of like hypnotism and ways of how sometimes people can manipulate you, your mind in subliminal ways, like subliminal messages. And you know, basically we're fighting against that. So I don't disagree with them rehashing stuff over and over and over again, because a lot of us need to hear this message over and over again until it sticks.
Statistics in the law. It is not even necessarily trying to foment change. It is a movement which draws from personal anecdote, and through similar anecdotes and the innuendo of memes and ostensibly only tangentially related articles, the posts on MGTOW Hub seek to provide a perpetual emotional argument, reminding believers of why they went their own way, and seeking to emphasize those emotions in people who might take the red pill. Remember that nonsense feminists say? Remember how much less money you had when you were dating that lazy ex of yours? Look at this man, doing a good thing. Look at this blue-pilled idiot. Good thing you got wise. Many manosphere subcultures do this sort of reinforcement to an extent, but on Are the Red Pill, and again in MRA groups, there is a focus on forwarding a supposedly fact-based argument in favor of their worldview. Posts on our MGTOW and on MGTOW forums take for granted that the viewer agrees with the basic assumptions of the movement. The posts are not meant to persuade. Rather, they act as a kind of fuel. And why should they have arguments on display there? MGTOW doesn't have to do much convincing to recruit. In a lot of ways, they are not a movement focused much on the conversion of non-believers. They reach out to those already sympathetic. They are a solution for what ails the men of the world who feel wronged by women and feminism, but who know their individual actions cannot change things. Even still, maybe huddling together and waiting for the women who they feel have wronged them to hit the wall offers some small consolation. And if I could just take a moment at the end here, I want to address the people who do feel this way. I am sorry that you don't believe that women are capable of love. I'm sorry that you believe that women are fundamentally bad, because I don't think that you have to be in a loving romantic relationship or a relationship period to feel happy and satisfied in life. I just think that living in a world where half of the population is not capable of love and pretty much just exists to leech resources off of people and hurt them, that is a terrible, sad world to live in. And I can definitely sympathize with this idea that truths that seem to hurt more feel more true. And so the fact that you have been told and convinced that you are living in that world because it is something that feels like a gritty, real, painful truth as opposed to a beautiful lie, that just makes you all the more certain of it. I really sympathize with that, because my tendency as well is to want to hear the truth rather than be told lies that make me feel good. But even as a person who believes that, I don't agree with you. And maybe it's because I'm a woman, and so, the veil is lifted for me in the sense that I know that I feel love, and I know what my motivations are, and I know that I'm not like the people that you describe, and I know the women in my life aren't either. And I just feel like...
Thanks, Slave, for saying that, but it is what it is. I look at it this way, that men and women are designed to love in a certain way. Now, truthfully though, even though men are driven visually to satisfy their physical urges, they are still how can I say it? Okay, we are still tasked with providing, protecting, being a gentleman, being a good guy, even though there are some of us, like the bad boys or such, that have broken from that programming, and surprisingly it seems like a lot of you women like that, because I guess they are different in that kind of way and not just following the program. But a lot of us, feel like we're like trapped in the matrix and stuff. Meanwhile, women seem like y'all are empowered, and y'all don't have to cook clean. Y'all don't have to buy anything. Y'all don't have to really do anything as far as society says. Only thing y'all have to do is just sit there. Y'all don't have to now y'all don't have to be pretty, y'all don't have to be in shape, y'all don't have to we basically, it seems like we have to love you as you are, no matter what you are or how you come toward us. And I, as a man, as a lot of us, we're saying like, hell no with that. You have this list of standards for us, and meanwhile you can just be like whatever. So the only way this is ever going to work with the genders healing this rift is that men do their particular job in a relationship, and women do a particular job in a relationship. I guess y'all can swap roles or something like that, but each one has to be doing something. However, the way that it's set up, a man has to show and prove no matter what, and meanwhile a woman doesn't, and yes, she feels entitled. Unless if she has kids, then she's judged for being a mom. So I don't think that's fair. But as men, we had to take it on the chin, and we just tired of doing that. Well, the decent guys, the good guys, we are tired of doing that. So, I mean, hopefully some of you women are listening. Oh, and another thing, to the lady that made this video, or women that think like this, yes, you can say that you are not like that and your friends are not like that, but you can't tell me that you don't know some people like that. You know, it's kind of like me as a guy. When women be complaining about guys cheating and doing stuff, yeah, it's messed up, but I usually know one guy somewhere that has done something similar that's in my circle of people that I know. Unless if it's like some weird stuff or a serial killer or something like that. I probably don't know somebody that do that, but it always seems like a lot of times women will do plausible deniability of like they don't believe this stuff exists. There's not women out here doing this stuff. I mean, look at the TikToks. Look at the videos that are being made. You know, you know some women that has to do that unless you are knee deep in church or something. And that's what a lot of times irritates men too. That y'all act like nobody that you know is being foul. So hit the like button, subscribe, watch my other videos. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Out.
I still wanna run to you. Am I breaking through? Do you feel me too?
Pando made it.
I still wanna run to you.